This is Critical Nonsense, our high-lowbrow show about culture, science, and tech. This week, Aaron asks us about giving a fart.
Woo!
What you say? This is what a Joey sounds like.
Pink powder club. I'm gonna keep my dance forever. Hi, this is what Aaron sounds like.
And this is what an executive producer and dear sister, Jess Vander, sounds like.
Hi, this is Jess.
It's so nice to be back. I've been gone for a while, and it's great to be in your house, in our house, together.
Wow.
The
It's
band
so
is
great
back
to have
together.
You back in our
Thank
house.
you. Thank you.
I showed Emerson Dear Sister the SNL digital short, one of the early ones with that Sia song, or it's not Sia song, it's Imogen
Yes.
Heap. And she's just like, why are they all shooting each other? And like, are they dead? But they're not dead. And she was like, this doesn't make sense, but she thinks it's hilarious.
Love it.
So,
Love it. I really do appreciate Emerson's sense of humor. Like she has a grip on absurdity that outpaces Man on the Moon, Andy Kaufman. Like she gets the weird, and I love that. That's so good.
Yeah. Aaron,
Yeah.
can you talk to us about how many to give?
My internet crashed for literally just the amount of time that you were talking, Joey. Say that again.
Aaron, can you talk to us about how many to give?
Yes. Okay. So a little bit of context. I came across an interview with Jamie Lee Curtis this morning, and I love the Jamie Lee Curtis moment. She's not having a moment. She's just getting even more respect that she deserves. And she's such a complex and interesting, like, public figure and actress. And so I recently watched Freakier Friday, which she is killing. I also watched her in The Last Showgirl, which she's, oh man, the character she plays. If you've ever been to Vegas or you've been around Vegas, there is a humanity and a caricature that she pulls together in this character that's incredible. So I've been on the Jamie Lee bandwagon lately, which is also important because I don't do horror, and so all my ways into her have been not through Halloween. Anyway, in this interview, the interviewer was asking and talking about not giving a fuck and learning to not give a fuck. And he went so far as to like title the interview like Jamie Lee Curtis gives zero fucks. Let's all learn how. Now in classic millennial fashion, did I listen to the interview? Do I know the answer to the question? Absolutely not. I'm not there yet. I haven't done that. Life is busy. I've got a farting dog in the background. No one is going to really understand the context.
Occupied farting dog.
But it has gotten my head really spinning around this idea of not caring, of giving zero fucks. And I think that it's been certainly a big conversation as people are trying to deal with psychologically and emotionally all the different ways that we're living through this as I wildly flail my arms just this here and the dissonance between like showing up for family and friends and then looking down the street and seeing ice and pulling people off the streets. Like it's wild. So this idea of how to give no fucks has made me think, by the way, if you haven't figured out already, this might be a little bit of a cursy episode. I apologize to any children in the car. Maybe I'll come up with a euphemism from here on out. I don't know. We'll see. GZF. I like that. GZF? No farts. Ooh, that's it. Okay. From here on out, let's call it no farts. I think that feels good. Jess, thank you for that suggestion. So
I give zero farts.
Giving zero
GZF
farts related to dogs
and our emotional fragility. So this idea of like the ideal future or one's ideal state being one in which they give zero farts, where they live in a land of zero farts, where they occupy the space of Zero Farts Land, it makes me ask y'all, what does your Zero Farts Land future look like?
Man, when I was young, I was a farty guy, but now
Doesn't really work in the same. It doesn't actually translate.
I was a flatulent young boy, but as an adult,
God, this is someone get the emotional Beano. Okay.
No, it makes me think of George Wallace, like I just don't care anymore. Like George Wallace is like all of his jokes of like the top 5 things, and then
wait. We're not talking about Southern Senator segregationist George Wallace. We're talking about a different George Wallace.
Yeah, legendary and whatnot.
Who is this legendary? Who is? Explain.
George Wallace is like a stand-up comedian, but also actor. I forgot about the bad George Wallace, but he was in like Car Wash, and I believe he was in Airplane.
Classique.
Lady Killers. He's been in a lot of stuff, but he's like a stand-up comedian. Little Nicky, apparently. Yeah, he's been in a lot of things.
Boo, Adam Sandler.
Do you recognize him in seeing his face?
I do not, but tell me more.
Part of he has like a joke of like, I just don't care anymore, but he'll say like absurd things and be like, I just don't care anymore. He like, I'll do this absurd thing, I'll eat pancakes at a Waffle House and eat a Waffle House at an IHOP. I just don't care anymore. Like that. Like they're kind of like, I made that one up right now, but it is that type of thing. But there's like the age component of what your DGAF quotient is, that comes with time. Like, right. Like we all know, your grandparents who are just like, I'm too tired to care. Like, I don't care about how you feel about that. But there is this like thing to parse in like the DGF index of like the difference between good caring and bad caring, maybe. And I think we're talking about like the idea of being fearful to act or be yourself as a result of perception, or maybe it's not exclusive to that. Is it exclusive to that?
I don't know. I mean, and honestly, like, I feel like there's very different ways into DGAF that we talk about. Like, there's almost the side of it that I think it was really born of, which is more so like overachievement, hyper internalizing other people's opinions, like that sort of thing, which was really, I think, always the root of where that came from. And that's why even the book, like, How to Not Give a Fart came from. I'll double check the title of that. But then there's this other, I think, more just broad cultural force, which is like existential overwhelm that is, I think, at odds with that same thing. It's like, can you borrow the same playbook to deal with that impetus, or that input? And I think that there's kind of a collective perspective that you can't. But then it's like, but then what's my ideal state? Like, how do I care about the decline of Western civilization while also feeling free enough to not care about others' expectations? Those just feel like different planets. They feel like different solar systems, and I don't know what to do with them.
There's something about not wanting or not expecting, I think, in this idea of like no longer giving any farts.
I'm gonna giggle every time.
It's gonna be funny to me every time I try to replace the word. But that idea of like not having an expectation or like a desire or a thirst for what would come on the other side of an action, of just being, right? Of being okay with all outcomes on the backside, good, bad, or other, feels like maybe at least in the sort of idealized route that we would aspire to, maybe. I mean, there are probably different versions of this, of being like callous or uncaring or unempathetic, not giving a fuck, which we would probably collectively say is bad. But the other side of acting without expectation maybe is the good side of it. And I've seen it like we spoke a little bit about exercise last week, but for me, having taken a break period in sort of more intensive fitness and come back, my experience of it is so different. And some of that is age, right? Like going from like 35 to 40 in that break period of like, I'm not trying to be like sultry, like hyper attractive 40-year-old. I'm just like in it for health and I want to do hard things, but like I'm not like trying to win a competition. I'm like, and that mentality shift of like not caring about any of those things has made it a much more positive experience for me on the other side of that gap, which is like an interesting dynamic for me. Like that is a place where I've kind of, because of the break, the time gap, and like the punctuated aspect of it, I can see like how drastically different my mentality is, and it feels a lot better.
There's something, I love that example, and I wasn't on last week, but I also feel very similarly about a lot of that. And I do think that idea of expectation is where there's like a little bit of a, maybe not a divide, but a tension, where like if you, there's this assumption in not giving any farts against the idea of like not having any expectation around good, bad, or indifferent what you put out in the world, that almost has to have a sense of like not believing that your efforts matter. Like you have to sort of like, there's almost like a nihilism in that, where it's just like, oh, it doesn't, whatever happens, what will be, what I do will just happen.
Fatalism.
Yeah, it's very fatalistic. And I think that is in direct contrast with the like prevailing ideology of those who see the moment that we're in with great fear and trepidation, which actually suggests the opposite, that you have to sort of keep your belief in your efforts mattering kindled. You have to keep believing in that, because if you start to believe in that same strain of fatalism, then it can have other knock-on effects, that things will just keep progressing in a way that's not benefiting the whole, that's not benefiting society.
Isn't that like a very big fart?
Yeah.
Versus like little farts?
Scale of fart. That is a very good point, but say more. Please tell us a little bit more.
Because I think when people talk about not giving a fart, they actually usually are talking about little tiny farts.
Yeah. Poots.
And like having a fart threshold that is high.
I'm sorry.
You know?
I can't do this.
It's going to be so hard. We might have to come up with forks. Not giving a fork. Let's go the good place route. Should we switch from fart to fork?
No, it's too late.
It's too late.
You're too
We're
far
committed.
gone.
You're too far gone. That's a really good point, Jess, about like the scale of things and issues that people tend to be talking about with that. Because you're right. There isn't, I don't believe that I've heard a rise in conversations around not caring about these big existential issues. It's more about how do you find, is there a non-binary solution? And I don't know. Yeah.
Well, and that I think that's how it ties to Joey, your point about like a person who's callous, uncaring. That's a person with a fart threshold so high that it's starting to let in big farts.
Right.
You know?
Right. Because that like Yeah, because you have decided, because you've completely succumbed to that fatalistic perspective, it doesn't matter whether it's big or small. Anything is whatever. And
Or you're a meanie pants or
yeah,
whatever it
yeah.
is, like whatever it is, like meh, yeah, like it could whatever the reason it might be like, or yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's where this like distinction between caring and acceptance is kind of interesting. Like I think in the case of Jamie Lee Curtis, like probably she wants to be liked and wants to be loved, but is willing to accept that based on acting out things in her life the way that she feels is appropriate, that like she has to accept that she will not be liked or loved in all instances, right? And so that distinction of like, I want to be like, as a human, I want to be liked, but not to a degree where I feel like I would act against my sense of morality or values or empathy. And so like in that instance, I know there are things, right? Like if a client comes to us and we feel like there's a values misalignment, we're not going to work with them. Like I'm in that instance accepting that I am not going to get that money as part of that project and need to find it somewhere else. But it's not like I've stopped needing to like pay my bills or, keep the lights on at the company. It is like a choice in that instance. And so like caring versus, but like you can go too far with the caring where you're just crop dusting everywhere. You're giving too many fucks everywhere or too many farts. Sorry, I'm bad at this. You're letting all of that caring go everywhere. You're
fart
leaking
flag
it out.
fly.
Your fart flag fly. Well alliterated, Jess. I do think it's not surprising that this came from a Hollywood interview, right? And I do think it's important that it's Jamie Lee Curtis. Like her father was Tony Curtis, so like she's someone who's grown up in the spotlight, who's grown up in an entertainment family, and like what I was listening to also a couple interviews. I love interviews with stand-ups. Like it's always so telling. It reveals so many different things, and listening to an interview with Kenan Thompson and one with Janelle James. Both of them talked about how, well, Kenan Thompson was talking about how when stand-ups come to SNL and they start out on SNL, one of the things that becomes really difficult for them is that they're used to the immediate call and response that stand-up provides. Like you say something funny that you think is funny and either people laugh or they don't. And you are constantly chasing the immediate validation that comes from the claps, that comes from the audience's response. And so when you're in a sketch or over time you're playing a character over and over and over again and you don't get that immediate reaction, it can be really corrosive to your sense of self. It can really eat at you and your belief that you are good at what you do. And I think that like those who are, and actually the thing with Janelle James is that that's how she realized she was not a comedian. She did not come up in the stand-up world or anything like that. She got into it much later in life, and she went on stage once, entered a competition, and it was getting that immediate feedback that made her know that comedy is where she needed to be. And like then she got affirmation from Chris Rock later on that like, oh, you really know what you're doing. Like you know how this works. You're not just a funny person. You're very good at this. So the reason that I think these things are really telling and how it all connects with the Jamie Lee Curtis thing is that like, yes, a lot of this is just about ego. It's about an ego, a sense of self-esteem, and protecting ourselves in a world in which everyone else's opinions fly so freely and they aren't necessarily informed. And they impact each of us individually and severally. And that's hard.
Which maybe also is why I feel like another aspect of people who don't give many farts can sometimes be seen as like cool or better, like that it is virtuous somehow. I feel like might be because to be able to not give a fart is to be able to tolerate discomfort. Like in this example, like a delay of gratification of like, this might hit, this might be the perfect joke and you aren't going to get the thing right away. And that's okay because it's like in your core and center, it's the right thing, or you're willing to like tolerate people, whatever. Maybe even another thing of like, everybody has their opinion about Taylor Swift's new album. And like, should that interfere with a person like Taylor Swift or any creative person putting out a thing that inevitably people aren't going to like? No. Like, it feels like there's a piece of this that has to, I feel like culturally even though we are oftentimes the critics and we participate in the creation of the discomfort, we also respect those who take it because it's not something that comes easily to many people.
I was thinking something similar, Jess, in the aspect of confrontation or conflict that I think is maybe embedded in some of what we're talking about when we talk about like a famous person that doesn't, right? Like, I was trying to think of like, are there other models? And recently I feel like people have been pointing at John Cena in a new light because he's been in the public spotlight in a different way from just his like professional wrestling. And he's, demonstrated that he does actually really care about fans or the press that are going to the events, and he like takes them really seriously. So like on that part, it's like, he's clearly demonstrating that he cares. And at the same time, there are these moments where there was like a recent thing where he went on some podcast and they made a joke about something. It seemed like a shock jockey-ish type of podcast, and they made a joke about something, and he was just like, hey guys, I don't think I can make a joke about that. Like, I just lost a friend. I'm not really in a place to joke about it. I understand you weren't trying to be me, but like in that moment, why it popped up and went, however viral it did or didn't go, was because he was engaging in a confrontation and being willing to like make the hosts of that show uncomfortable rather than just absorb it, where it was somehow both a demonstration of caring and not caring at the same time that I don't really know how to pull apart.
You just hit a light bulb for me. I think that there's a little thing about it that makes me uncomfortable, like about the idea of giving no farts, that makes me uncomfortable because it suggests checking out. Like, it suggests that the way out is to like leave your ball and go home. And I think with confrontation, with choosing when and how to engage, you're fundamentally choosing that you're going to stay engaged. Like, you're not going to like it's just like say, you know what? I'm just going to pretend that none of you exist and that none of this happens, and I no longer care. And I think that, like, how many times do we talk about how emotional shutdown is toxic to relationships of all forms? If you shut down, if you choose to no longer communicate when you're having an argument with your partner, if you give people the silent treatment, that's an act of emotional abuse. That's like literally robbing someone of the opportunity to care. And you're forcing them to guess and to leap and to jump. And regardless of whether it's an intimate relationship or one with the general public, I feel like there's great power and there's great care in choosing in not choosing to disengage, in like making the active choice that you are going to describe how you're going to navigate others' differences of opinions, belief, and the new realities that they tend to shape for themselves and delusions that they operate in, rather than just saying that it's a reasonable option to say, I'm just going to do whatever I want or think whatever I want. And I think that, like, Jess, I'm really moved by the idea that like we do fetishize the virtuosity, like a certain virtuousness that comes with like, James Dean. I feel like James Dean is an interesting example. Like there's like one version that's like black jacket, white t-shirt. I don't care. Like I'm a rebel. But literally he is a rebel with a cause. He cares very deeply. He has things that he cares about. And the whole thing is like, he so doesn't give any farts, but he's so deep. He's got so much brooding thought and everything underneath all of that. And I wonder actually, but I wish there were just as much fetishization of caring, of
Mm-hmm.
of navigating farts, of like, yeah, like, no, giving farts is cool, but it's, even when I say that, it just sounds like Steve Buscemi with a skateboard. Like it's just not.
Hello, fellow
Thank
kids.
you. I'm glad you live in my memes.
But Jess's power aspect of when she shared the episode about being cool, like there is the power thing that was one of the key components of coolness, which is you're capturing power by acting against norms. And so I think that question of like, what are the norms you're choosing to act against is probably fits in some of what you're talking about, right? Like in the way that John Cena is doing things is he like made sure to talk to every reporter that came to like his show launch, including, and people were asking him questions and he was asking them back questions, trying to make them like, thank you for coming to this thing that is supporting a thing that I care about, and I'm demonstrating my care. And in that instance, the power that he was exerting was acting against a norm where the actors don't care about those people that are like helping to promote your show. And so that choice of like, where are you leveraging the power probably is what like your version of it. Like, are you just like an anarchist, or are you like, actually I'm breaking the rules of the system that are based on some sense of like values or morality or what? Can you be cool and kind, or, based on cool to be kind?
I know that my question originally was about like, what does your zero farts land look like? And one, I think it's kind of a flawed question. It's to a bit like this conversation. I think that it is fair to say that like that phrase is like I don't give any farts it isn't equally distributed in all the ways that we've talked about. Like there, I really liked the big fart, small fart like distinction, because it's like it doesn't get used colloquially to talk about major social issues in that same way. And so it's a little bit of a disingenuous framing of the question on my part. And then, but the second piece of it is like, just to answer my own question, and this kind of gets to it, is like, my no farts land has a number of little farts puttering around. Like I will always care. I will always care. That's how I'm wired. But I think that I will also be protected from the opinions that would erode my sense of self. So I suppose like it doesn't.
You got to avoid the silent but deadly.
You got to. Yes.
I mean, you said that.
Yes. I think that there's energy that people are going to put out that
your farts got to make a sound.
There's energy that people are going to put out, and there are going to be things about it that like are fundamentally going to affect your belief in yourself. But you have to make sure that in my land, I would have this sort of instantaneous ability to be able to distinguish that from those things that aren't deadly.
Yeah, I think strangely the metaphor has come around for me in thinking about this, of like caring about things sometimes does stink, right? Like both for you and for other people potentially. But I think you got to own your farts, You gotta like
Whoa.
choose when to fart,
Yeah.
right? Like you can't be going around giving farts everywhere. There are
Wow.
times and places, but when you give a fart, it should matter. It's important to you, and it should make a sound. Other people should know that you give a fart and announce it. Don't hide your farts.
I really love that. I really love where this has taken us. I just really appreciate that. You're going to fart no matter what. Make sure that you think about when you want everyone to know it, because it's worth it. People should know your farts. People should don't hide your fart. I moved. My bowels are moved. Nope, different. Sorry. Nope. Backing out. Oh, Homer Simpson into the bushes. Oh God. Oh no. Corner. Is there a corner of hedges? Can we go into the wrap-up corner? Oh my God.
Jessica's wrap-up corner.
Get us out of here.
I do. I farted.
I mean, this has gone off the rails in the
So
best way
ridiculous.
possible.
Yes.
Wait, hold on. I have to go get the. Please hold.
I need to know what she's getting. I'm like on the edge of my seat. What have you retrieved?
It's 50 farts. A learning guide and aid to memorization of the taxonomy of rectal expulsion of gas byproducts of the mammalian digestive process.
Yeah.
These are good. Do we need credits or can we just read them?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. Four of spades is the never ender. An evacuation of gas. This is not going to go well, you guys. From the anus, accompanied by a deep rumbling sound that continues for any prolonged period of time. Okay. Ripple effect is the nine of clubs. A natural phenomenon wherein a single act of flatulence is purposely mimicked by surrounding persons. Three of diamonds, the gas leak. The gradual release of flatulence accompanied by an extended hissing sound out of a partially constricted sphincter. The silent but deadly is the jack of spades. This is of or pertaining to an inaudible expulsion of flatus combined with an egregious odor, usually from an unconfirmed but suspected source. Oh my gosh, this is so wrong. The queen of spades, the pressure cooker. Any small confined area containing a group of people into which miasmic gastric fumes are introduced with a malicious intent.
Oh.
Kind of a Dutch oven, a bigger scale Dutch oven.
It's a pressure cooker.
I'm sure that exists. If you've wondered it, it's in this deck. It's
so our special thanks. We're skipping creds. Our special thanks is this deck of cards.
Did I?
Can I tell you a different special thanks that is apparently flatus related?
Yeah.
There was a video going around where people were saying to their significant other, "Guess my fart,"
Yes.
and then the significant other would make a sound, and then the person would fart, and then the cut was they were all matching, like people guessed correctly, and how delighted everyone was in the process. So I started playing that game with my daughter, and we think it's hilarious as well.
This sounds right. This sounds very right. I love that farting, and I've looked into this before, like why farts are funny. Like farts are just funny. And I've looked up in the past and I can't remember what I learned, but like it's even a thing in writers' rooms that like the lowest bar, if you are really stressed for whatever, it's like just put a fart in it. This is why Leslie Nielsen used to do interviews, and he would bring a fart whoopee cushion with him sometimes, and just when he would get bored in the interview, and he's so deadpan that he would just like just like throw it out there just to make the journalists laugh. And you think about how boring those junkets are. And it's just like, yeah, no, it lightens the mood no matter where you are. It's always funny. Always.
It's a mitzvah. Like, you feel better. Like, I mean, other people may not, but in the full circleness of this ridiculous episode, feels like us somehow doing an entire episode accidentally about farts is a way to DGAF.
Yes. Well put.
We're a bunch of professionals putting out a podcast from a company talking about farts, I guess.
And we're doing it. And as a perfect way to stop this conversation. The three of spades, the cut and run, to surreptitiously release miasmic gases into a crowded area before quickly making an exit prior to the detection of the odor. Quick! Let's get out of here!
Oh my God. I don't know what we've done. You know what, Alex? You're going to have a really fun time trying to cut that into an end of an episode. But we trust you. You did. I don't like, this was both delightful and hilarious. I just listened to this thing from Conan where he's interviewing a couple of British historians, and he was saying that he loves British historians in this particular podcast because they can hold the tragic and the hilarious at the same time. So like they'll be talking about these horrific incidents in World War I, but also be making fun of the generals' mustaches, and it's like genuinely belly laugh inducing. And like that is a unique aspect. Like he also talks about Monty Python, like the bring out your dead bit. It's like, yeah, this is horrific. This is the plague, but also that is hilarious to think about. Just a guy want to bring out your dead. Like the ability to hold those two things in at the same time is a fertile ground for humor. So I think that we have done that with whatever this podcast episode was.
We did it.
Are we really not?
Love you, mean
Bye?
it. Bye. Yeah, just run the ad.
Oh, I love how those look. But where did you get those? Oh, these beautiful pants? Yeah, those. Oh, I got them at the new boutique. It's called No Fart Meanie Pants. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. No Fart Meanie Pants is the destination for every type of jean, pant, short, and other bottom wear that you've been looking for. Make sure you get in this weekend for 20% off. 10% if you're silent but deadly. Thanks. See you this weekend.